Great. Well, we'll go ahead and get started, and if others join, they can sort of catch up. So again, my name is Anthony Romano, the CEO here at CREtelligent. Thanks so much to all of you for taking time out of your day. This will be 20 minutes or so. I'm just really excited to give you the overview of what NexusCRE and CREtelligent are doing together. Just one housekeeping item. There's a button either at the top or the bottom of your screen for this webinar with a Q&A. Everybody on the webinar for noise control is on mute. But if there are questions during the overview, please put them either in the chat or in the Q&A, and we will definitely have time at the end to respond to any questions or elaboration you'd like. So at this time, let me just quickly turn it over to Wendell Summers, the CEO of NexusCRE.
Well, good morning and good afternoon. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate it. Good morning, good afternoon to all of you out there. I really appreciate you joining. I want to thank you all for being just awesome customers of CRE surveys, NexusCRE over the past 10, 15 years, however long you've been with us. But listen, we realize you've entrusted us with a lot of your significant transactions related to your business. And it means so much to me and so much to our team that you've allowed us to do that. You continue to allow us to do that. And we just want you to know we take that seriously. It's really important to us. For those of you that don't know, I'm Wendell Summers. I founded CRE Surveys, NexusCRE in 2011, really with a goal of building the best due diligence company in the nation. The plan was to get there, has been and is to get there by becoming an extension really of your due diligence department, which most of you are part of. Additionally, we wanted to reduce the due diligence cost, and then finally wanted to provide really what we consider to be the absolute best client experience by always communicating with you, no matter how hard that communication can be at times. And as you know, and with the challenging markets we've had over the last couple of years, that hasn't always been real easy. We began by providing Alta surveys, and then in 2013, we added zoning reports, and we really think we've now built what we consider to be one of the best full-service zoning departments or zoning companies in the U.S. We currently service more than 700 customers in the U.S. And actually outside the U.S. as well, which is some of the top law firms, top REITs, title companies, and lenders, which you are all part of. In late 2020, we began working with a company called CREtelligent. As we got to know them in more detail, we were really impressed with the management team, their dedication to revolutionize the commercial due diligence industry, along with the products they had already developed. We became more and more impressed with the complementary aspects of the two businesses. So in June of this year, we decided to formalize that and join forces with them. And work together to bring the best possible value to you, our clients. So with all that, I'm going to kick it back over to Anthony. He's going to give you a quick fly overview of the two companies and what we've decided to do together. So with nothing else, here's Anthony.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Wendell. So yeah, gang, I'll just take you through a bit about what we see in the market as it relates to before, during, and after commercial real estate transactions, what we're doing from a product, platform, data and analytics and service perspective. And then we'll sort of wrap it up with our thoughts on how we together might do things that go forward. All right, let's see. So I'll tell you the first thing, the punchline for us, and we laugh at this slide a bit, but you've probably all experienced, it's a bit uninspiring. The cycle times are long. The cost of getting deals done, whether that's you're a lender, your insurance company, a REIT, an owner operator, a title company, it's challenging on the residential side to get transactions done. In commercial real estate, it's really uninspiring. So our focus and really part of the rationale of why we came together as two firms is to address this. And what we see often is, again, any of those industry verticals, when a transaction happens, they've got a policy that says on this deal, on this asset class, and this loan amount, this geography, I order Altas or zonings or phase ones or appraisals or flood zone determination or property condition assessments. And normally what happens is that you pick up the phone or you email dozens of monoline, single-threaded vendors who do just one of those, and you're waiting for those things, and you're following up via email, and you're getting those documents via email or Dropbox, and you're calling them back for corrections, and it's a pretty manual, laborious process. And we didn't see anything on the commercial side that made that easier from a platform perspective. And so we built it. We stood up at CREtelligent a platform called Radius, and it basically is an order management and workflow platform. So it allows a user, this is all cloud-based, to log on, to put in an address, an APN or lat long, within seconds identify an individual property and all of its associated boundaries. And then from there, you can order, status, get delivery, and archive any product, solution, or service we have. And that includes every product that and service that the NexusCRE team has. So what we've tried to do is make the phone call and emails and chasing vendors and things sort of go away there. This is for a single property. We have the bulk upload capabilities where if you're doing transactions on dozens of properties and need these products and services, no problem. Many of the products and services via the platform are fixed price, data reports, and things of that nature. But as you're aware, things like a phase one or a property condition assessment, those in the industry, those are quoted, right? And so you'd normally go and call or email a vendor and say, hey, I've got a property, an address. Can you give me a turn time and a price on a phase one? And generally 2, 4, 6, 8 hours later, you get an email with a proposal that says, here's the price and here's the turn time. Well, in order to do that, what you need to know is lot size, square footage, building count, NACS code, and 4 or 5 other pieces of data. We happen to have that on every commercial property in the country. So we launched just a few months ago a technology inside of this order management platform called ClickQuote. And it essentially allows you to put the property address in and one other piece of information. And in the background, we'll run an algorithm and we'll return in about 10 seconds a turn time and a price for those services. So we're not sure there's anybody else in the industry doing that. We're working hard to do that with our Alta surveys, at least in certain places of the market. And the idea is, how do we collapse the cycle time and speed the process for you and sort of our client base? The other thing that we saw so many of our customers dealing with is early in a transaction, they start a loan application, they start the purchase agreement, and weeks later they order the Alta or the PCA or the phase one. And let's use a phase one as an example. It comes back and it's got hair on it. Everybody's kind of pissed off, like, hey, I've got willing buyer and seller and a bank that often wants to lend. It doesn't mean that there might not be an environmental issue in this case, because sometimes there are. It means that, boy, if I'd have known that at the outset of the transaction, I may have been able to navigate this deal entirely differently. So we have built and make available via the platform a whole suite of what we just call early insight products. These are property data reports or pre-screen reports, things like an environmental pre-screen, property condition pre-screens, commercial property automated valuation models over multiple asset classes, climate risk reports. We've got a data report that shows the energy output by hour for every commercial property in the country. Are you hitting fossil or renewable? So it sort of builds a carbon footprint report, and micro market demographic reports. This is all information that is really useful when you're doing site selection or you're looking at deal tape or you're pre-LOI on multiple properties, to understand, how am I going to navigate the deal? What am I walking into properties that have all kinds of hazard, contamination, building violations, building permits, or other sort of risk factors? And then post-transaction, in our past life, many of us as executives here were part of the CoreLogic team. For some of the largest lenders in the country, we managed all their residential mortgages and portfolios for lien changes, valuation changes, FICO drift. We looked on the commercial side and we couldn't find a system that was doing that. So we built a module inside of Radius for asset management and portfolio monitoring. So we have clients that will upload their assets. We will show them on a quarterly cadence at an individual asset level the change in risk profile. So the change in micro market demographic risk, the change in environmental risk, the change in commercial property price index, or really any risk factor that you like. For owner operators, it's arbitraging opportunities and mitigating risks on the portfolio. For a lot of our large lender and bank clients, they're sitting with OCC examiners and doing sort of ALLL and CECL on their portfolio. So we really look at the continuum as before the transaction, data and analytics, really rich information from dozens of different disparate data sets to help people make a good decision as they're entering into a deal. During the transaction, these compulsory products and services all over the country that our clients are ordering, and then post-transaction asset monitoring and portfolio management. This is just another way to look at it via the platform. I can put that address, APN, lat long in, find my property in seconds, and in under 20 seconds, I can run a whole suite and series of automated products. We also do what we call kind of manumatic, or you'd look at these as desktop reports. So think of an RSRA environmental report that's got all the data and analytics. It's reviewed and interpreted and opined by a senior environmental professional, and often goes back to the client. And then again, all of those full service site reconnaissance products and services around the country. The technology is fantastic. And if you listen to me so far, you say, wow, you're just a technology company. Well, I will promise you, much like the team at NexusCRE, we wrap this technology with a world-class customer success team. So we're on the phone with our clients all day long. We've got clients that are doing 20, 30, 40 storage unit purchases. And we, to Wendell's point, we kind of become part of the deal team. We help interpret data. We help with summary data, deal summaries, aggregating the information. So you can have a very frictionless transaction via the technology platform. But we sort of say high tech when you want it, high touch when you need it. We've got a white glove concierge customer success team as well. Part of the rationale, just give you the sort of what we saw, Wendell and I and our leadership teams in terms of bringing these two companies together, creating really a world-class organization that could really disrupt and improve the process in commercial real estate due diligence. We're in 10 different verticals. Wendell mentioned REITs and insurance and lender, and we're doing a bunch in telco and legal advisory. We'll have close to 1,000 combined clients. We've got 30 different really rich data reports, solutions and services, a great order management and workflow platform. Got over 100 in-house consultants, industry experts, fulfillment and client success folks. We talked about the post-transaction, sort of risk monitoring. And it's not lost on us that while we're really competitive on pricing, that report quality, consistency, and turn times in terms of getting deals done is job number one, and we work really, really hard there. The feedback from the clients has been spectacular. So the kind of umbrella objective is how do we bring to this client base the systems, people, services to reduce the transaction friction and cycle time, take cost out, minimize risk, and ultimately improve the overall participant experience. You can go out you'll see a link on a landing page. You're going to see that the team that you work with at Nexus hasn't changed. The way you work with them doesn't change. There's just more technology capability and services that are available, sort of to the client base at this moment. This is just a little bit about how we position in the marketplace, when we're talking to different verticals and the type of products and solutions and services we have. I hope none of you look like this lady on the left, but a lot of clients who are really frustrated picking up the phone and calling dozens of vendors in different footprints and trying to get these things done. The Radius, these two companies coming together, I think bring a tremendous amount to the compulsory services of environmental, ALTA zoning, and PCA. Got a ton of clients. This is just a small example that do a lot of bundles with us. So they'll come to us with, again, dozens of properties saying, hey, I need a phase one ALTA zoning PCA on every one of these. The cycle time reduction and the ease of managing that transaction to get it done, release contingencies, get to a closing table is much better experience with what we've brought together now. This is just an example. We're working with some of the largest retail firms, law firms, insurance companies, lenders in the country on a daily basis. And yeah, there's a lot of numbers that we showed you in terms of customers. But I think what's maybe more important to Wendell and I is the feedback we continue to hear from the client. Celtic Bank happens to be the largest 504-7A SBA lender in the country. Joanne said, hey, we took 3.5+ days out of our process. We think we could probably take 3 more with the technology and what we're doing. For a bank that's lending, it's their borrower who's paying for a lot of the things they order from us, right? So if they can reduce that cost and they can reduce the transaction time, that just means their borrower gets the property and can start operating their business and sort of making money earlier. So this is really important to us, and so much so that we kicked off about a year ago what we call a net promoter survey. It's pretty common out in the industry. But what's not common is a score of 78. This is our 3rd time we've done this with our clients. I don't mean that arrogantly, but I mean it's 2x the industry benchmark. And to us, all it validates is where the technology is working, our customer success team is working, our turn times are working, and the overall experience our customers are having is quite good. Here's the thought process. And again, we're not here to sell anybody anything. This is just to give you an introduction of what we did and why we did it and the capabilities we have. But where we see opportunity is certainly in the, before the transaction, early insight reports, pre-screen data reports, so that you're not getting into a deal, ordering product only to have a deal impaired or fall through. So those are reduced cycle time for site selection, etc. Obviously, all of the transactional due diligence services, but now in addition to Alta and zoning, we can add phase ones, PCAs, flood zone determination, all kinds of valuation services. The menu is quite large. Click quote ideally will help not wait a day or two for some of the proposals to come back so you can place an order. And then a whole bunch of bundled services so you can minimize the number of vendors and scheduling and corrections and things. And then lastly, the notion of ongoing asset monitoring for so many of the clients that have properties all over the country in different asset classes, monitoring the changes on an ongoing basis, for those properties becomes super critical. And then when you're done, everybody looks like this guy. So I hope that wasn't too quick, but we'll pause. I see the QA in the chat popping up, so allow me to stop share here, and I will just pull up a couple of these questions.
Thank you, Anthony. I really appreciate you sharing all that with the clients. And if you don't mind, I'll take the first question, and then I'm gonna hand it back over to you if that's good with you. But
Sure.
The first question is, what can I expect in the way I do business with Nexus going forward, and who do I deal with? And that's really kind of the beauty of this whole thing, as we felt when we looked at this in terms of what it does for you. Number one, you're not going to deal with anyone different. You have the same exact people, same exact companies. Both companies are intact. There's no real changes in that way. But what it really does for you is it adds an additional layer of assistance. Number one, you're going to have access to Radius, which is a really great tool when it comes to researching property. And when it comes to accessing your documents and things of that nature. And we're going to share more with you, or more of that with you, on more of a one-to-one basis, or even series of upcoming webinars. But what's really important right now is that you're going to have access to the exact same people, but with additional services. And some of those additional services for the Nexus customers that I thought were really beneficial was Radius as a researching tool and an information transfer tool, but also the early insight reports. The early insight reports some of them are really great. I think it will be an advantage to you and your teams to get a chance to look at that. So that's that. I'm going to transfer the next two questions there back to Anthony.
Sure, great. Yeah, thanks. So the next question I see is, how do you get on Radius? Is it free, or is there a cost or subscription? Is yes to all that. So we've got a subscription model that allows for what we would call free, some of the Flywheel early insight reports, some of the asset monitoring, and it also provides some discounts on downstream products. We also have a subscription that's, there's no fee at all. It's just an order management workflow tool to make your life easier, and you're just paying, sort of per drink on the things that are ordered. So if you get to anybody at Nexus or CREtelligent, you probably work a lot with Jimmy and Brent and Simone on the Nexus side. They can light you up with any information about these things. And then a question of what data feeds your early insight report. So this is something that's really interesting. There are such incredible, disparate, rich data sets out in the market that look at micro market and property information in the commercial world. And we, I think, do an API into 15 or 20 different firms. So these are firms like Climate Check, Watt Carbon, Black Knight, Hazard Hub, Eris. They all have unique data. And what we do is we bring that data back, we curate it, we normalize it, and we put it into a data report so that you can make an informed decision about a micro market, a property, or a risk in a particular area. So more to come there, because we're continually sort of scouring the country for new data providers that can help our clients answer questions. And then the last one, nope, I think that was the last question. So we're pretty close to the end here. If anybody else has a question, pop it in the chat or the Q&A. We'll give it one more minute, and then we'll sort of sign off.
While we're waiting on any other questions, I do want to toss one other quick bit of information in. Again, this is something new for all of the Nexus customers, and I think one thing that's kind of important to point out: we're gathering a ton of information, a ton of data on parcels across the U.S. So we've developed, the team at CREtelligent really has developed some really nice early insight reports, but there's a lot more data available. So if there's something that is particularly important to you or your deal team, we'd love to hear from you and say, hey, this is something that's important to us. And we can work on developing products around that data for you personally, for your company personally. So those types of things are the things that we thought were really a benefit to some of our existing clients who've been purchasing due diligence from us for a long time. Just the additional services, the additional availability, the additional team members, staff members, and so on that are here to help you.
Excellent. Great. Well, I don't see any other Q&A in the chat, so let me just say thank you so much again for joining. Follow up with your team at Nexus for any additional information, and look for more things coming down the pike via email as we continue to introduce new sort of product solutions and services. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks.